Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is David Beckham and I'm your host, and today we are going to take a look at the OP11 Nami leader. Now this leader got leaked recently and everyone and their grandmother lost their minds actually. If you don't know what the leader does, I'm going to read you the effect now. During your turn, once per turn, you may activate this effect when a life card is removed. Draw one card if you have 7 or cards below in your hand. Now this effect is straight up free because there are so many good yellow cards that can manipulate life, and it would trigger this leader's ability as well. And if you have nothing in your hand that can proc this, you always can stack all the Dawn onto your leader and swing into your opponent's life so that he takes a life and you draw a card. And the restriction of only having 7 cards in hand is not a restriction at all, because any other leader that does a drawing effect in this type of shape or form has the restriction of 5 cards in hand. So this is already power creep to a point where we haven't seen it before. And the second effect is Dawn ×1. When your opponent is attacking, once per turn you may discard 1 card from your hand. This leader gains 2000 power for this turn. Now everyone was thinking this was a translation error at first, but it isn't actually, because the 2000 power is a prolonging effect for the entire turn, and that's something to actually lose your mind about, because this leader is basically a 7k leader at that point, something that only Black Yellow Ruffy or some restricted other leaders could do before, but this can do it at the cost of only having a Dawn under it and discarding a card in hand. And that's not a cost at all, because you draw a card if you do it right every turn. But it doesn't stop there, because the coloring of this leader is the most grotesque thing I have ever seen. Being blue means that it has the best removal in the game, and being yellow means it can manipulate life easily for that leader ability. One thing to consider is the Straw Hat typing. We can expect to see a brickload of support coming our way in OP11. But for now we are going to take a look at Nami's curve with the cards we have available right now, and I'm going to make the call for that this leader wants to go first actually, because the cards that are available right now indicate that going first is better to guarantee that one Dawn you can put onto your leader. I think both of this leader's abilities synergize with each other quite well, and this can be the best deck and format for OP11. If I'm being honest, I think this will be the best deck and format, but to prove that we are going to analyze the curve now. This is the card list we have at hand for this time being, and if we look at this list, one thing comes to mind immediately, that this Monkey D. Luffy as well as this Nami become obsolete in this deck. They actually are yellow staples, but they won't be needed in this one at all, because we have the Nojiko. On play, if your leader is Nami, return up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less to its owner's hand. It's only a 2 Dawn investment, it has a 1k counter, so it's never dead, and the removal is way better than Monkey D. Luffy's, which caps at 4, and Nami's, which would make you trash a card from hand. And this also bypasses protection effects. Then we have this Zeus. It's quite the same thing, only as a KO option. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So you have both of these as options and can decide, according to the game state, whether you want to bounce something to hand or KO entirely. In that case, you are as flexible as it gets, even if there is a Sabo or a Burgess. That means we don't need this Luffy and Nami, we can delete that. Same goes for 3000 Worlds 2. This card is great. Main plays up to 1 character with a cost of 5 or less at the bottom of its owner's deck, but it would be overkill, we don't need it. Although it's a really great card to play and consider as well. I mean, 8 copies to remove a 5k with Zeus and Nojiko probably should be enough. One thing I wanted to look at as well was Queen Mama Chanter. This card was hyped up very highly because of this Bonnie. You could potentially put this Bonnie onto your life after you play it out with the stage, and then draw an additional card. People try to make a lot of combos work for this. I mean, I see it, I get it. You play the stage once and you draw every turn. You can provide a 3 cost onto the board, which you can then put back into your life. But I don't see the vision, only if you can put something like this badge onto your life, which then can stop an attack. But this is too clunky, I don't like it, and I don't think that this will be played in this way. So the Queen Center is not it. Veggie will be run as a 2-cost 2k counter. There is no question in that, but it's not important for the curve analysis. This 0 cost is something that we don't need, because the best of all 0 cost is the yellow one, and we can actually set up a combo with this as well. I'm gonna show you that in a hot second. But other than that, the ace is something we can cut as well, because we always want a Don up, especially in the late game, because if our opponent is white and we can boost our leader up with the ability, we probably can survive. But if we can give ourselves 1 life, we probably won't go far against a board that is especially wide. So I won't play this. And the same goes for Hawken. I won't play this either, because this card is awkward. I don't know if people have dyslexia or unable to read, but this character says on KO, and what will be the case in this for the most times? It will be KO'd on your opponent's turn, so you won't see the drawn effect from your leader. Nami is actually really interesting as well. When attacking, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 blue event card and put it into your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Becomes a pseudo blocker afterwards, because your opponent would want to swing in this, but we only run Gum Gum Red Rock and Raging Tiger, so there won't be enough targets. And Sanji is too clunky, requires too much setup. I don't like it in this deck, although we can cheat out enormously great targets. So this is it, and let's analyze the curve on this. Now, as I mentioned, you would want to go first, ramp that Don, play out something like a Flampe, minus the card in hand because you played it out, but gain 3 back because Flampe effect draws you 2 and the leader ability triggers 2. You pass to your opponent, he passes back to you with 3 Don and a card you drew this turn. You would have 8. Play out that Hiyori, maybe set up a nice trigger on top of your life like an Onami, for example, and you would actually stay at 8 cards in hand because you manipulated your life and the Nami leader drew you a card. Now you pass to your opponent, he perhaps attacks into your life and you trash a card. You will go to 7 so you can protect your life, and then he passes back to you. You ramp 2 Dawn, draw a card for turn, and then you can play out something like this Onami, giving your leader the banish trait. You will lose out a card in hand, but you take the remaining 3 Dawn and swing into life. Either your opponent gives you 2 2Ks or he takes. In that case, you go back to 8 cards in hand because of your leader ability that triggers in this moment, because there was a life removed at any side of the field. Now you pass back to your opponent, he attacks you, maybe you go down to 7 cards in hand. Nothing much to care about, but you will be protected another turn, and then he passes back to you. You now with 7 Dawn have the option to play out something like this Robin. You will lose a card in hand when you play this out, so you will go down to 7 cards in hand. But your opponent has to trash a life card, so then you will get that card back, will be at 8 actually, and you can pass to your opponent at this point. He will do his stuff and you can actually, let's assume he attacks you, you use the leader ability, 7 cards in hand now, you're a 7k leader, maybe he swings another, you counter out another card, and that's it. You stay pretty healthy in my opinion, and then he passes back to you. You draw a card for turn now with 7 in hand and ramp to 9 Dawn. Now you can play this Katakuri. It depends on the game state, at the board state. If there's something you need to remove, play it out. If you need to gain life, you have enough weenies on the board, but if not, you can play this Uses Captain kit. This kit has the effect on play, you may rest this character, trash one of your opponent's lives, and this will proc our leader's ability actually. It has a end of turn effect as well to draw 1 and trash 1, so this becomes a queen effect with your leader. You play it, rest it, attack with your Robin maybe to bait it, get that card from your kit ability to leader ability back, pass to your opponent, and he will probably swing into your Robin, so that will get removed, and into life as well. So you activate your leader ability again, 7k leader, you lose a card, maybe 1 more because you protected your life from another swing. Your kit is most likely going to stay, and now it's your 10-don turn, your final turn, you go to 10-don, draw a card, and now you have plenty of options. This is where it gets quite interesting. You can, for example, on your 10-don turn play this Lin character. This character lets you gain a life or trash one of your opponents. Your opponent decides, but you will have enough time to play a Nojiko or a Zeus afterwards. And the Zeus then, if your opponent decides to give you a life, still can proc your leader ability. You can always play this Onami to give your characters that you have recently established a banish as well, and then play out the Lin. But the most insane combo is playing this Hiyori, putting a 0 cost onto your life. You can switch that if you are at 1 life, then draw 1 card with leader, and then afterwards play this Lin. So you will have drawn a card from that, stacked your life, gain a life with Lin, and then trigger out your 0 cost event the following turn, netting you 3 life while also drawing you 1. If the game state is fitting, you can also always play a Yamato. You would want to be at 1 life for this, but that is something that is actually quite manageable for this deck. The good thing about Yamato is it leaves you with 1 don you can put under your leader, which is actually quite important. And then there's still this Katakuri, which you can use offensive and defensive. You can combo it out with a Flampe to still leave you a don, draw you a bunch of cards and stack something on top of your life or putting something away from your opponents. This kit is also always something that it has to be viable if your opponent has life, because it always draws you 2 and trash 1 while being a 9k body on field. I think you would always want to play the kit over the Katakuri, but it depends on the situation. And then there is still this Pudding, Red Rock, Gravity Blade, Raging Tiger. You can play this in Nami as well, why wouldn't you? And if you don't need it, you always can trash it for the leader ability. We didn't look at them specifically in this curve analysis because the game states are what dictates if these cards are played out or not. But only looking at what we have now, it looks extremely promising. I mean, look at the video, there are plenty of options to make this deck, this leader work actually, but that's only all that we have right now. We don't know how the support is going to look that is coming our way, but I assume this deck will be the first true tier 0 deck in the Onepiecetcg. Feel free to tell me your opinion down in the comment section. Thanks for watching up until this point, take care and have a nice day.